C-47 that's going to come visit us today will let visitors see what the thing looked like working. Inside the museum, we have preserved the Air Force's last regularly used C-47. It's marked to represent a D-Day aircraft, and around that airplane is a really great exhibit about D-Day and paratroopers, the transport role, and the nursing role as well, and in other words, the aeromedical evacuation role. So that C-47 you can see in the museum is a great complement to the one that's visiting us today.
Imagine what went through the paratroopers' minds sitting in that airplane. They're young kids, 17, 18, 19-year-olds. They got 80 pounds worth of gear on their back. And when they crossed the French coastline, the weather was bad. So this airplane in the lead, it was down to around 300 or 400 feet. It's dark, you're bouncing around, you're being shot at. The door opens up and there you are, you're looking down. You're going to jump into the dark and you don't really know, you don't know what's going to happen. The courage and the patriotic duty that those people felt, it's just amazing to sit in there and realize that. We brought this C-47, that's all brother, into the Air Force Museum. This is a very historic airplane. It was in the lead of over 800 C-47s that dropped American paratroopers behind German lines on D-Day. The Commemorative Air Force were notified that this airplane was available. It was found in a boneyard up in Wisconsin. The Commemorative Air Force bought it. It took us a little over 3 years to restore the airplane. Our goal was twofold. Number one, to restore the airplane, to get it to look exactly like it did on D-Day. That goal we accomplished. The second goal was to get all that done prior to the 75th anniversary of D-Day. We got that accomplished. We flew the airplane back across the Atlantic just like they did during World War II, and then participated in the 75th anniversary for D-Day. They actually jumped out of this airplane 75 years later over Normandy.
It's an honor and a privilege to be part of an outfit like the Commemorative Air Force. I've been a member for almost 12 years, a little over 12 years now. One of the original sponsors on this airplane, and have had the opportunity to fly it now for the last 3 years. Both myself and TJ that I'm flying with today, we brought it, what Mitch was talking about, we actually flew it back from Normandy across the North Atlantic, which was one of the highlights in all of my flying career. This aircraft, it was painstakingly effort to recreate every aspect of this airplane the way it was when it was in Normandy. We talk about a -1, which is the Air Force manual for this, and if you look in that manual, which is a 1945 manual that I have, everything in the airplane is where it is in that manual. It's as authentic and probably the most authentic one flying today. We had a day and a half or 2 days to do this. It was a last-minute thing for Crosson, so that it's bad enough being shot at by the enemy, let alone being shot at by your own people. So it came down to paint the black and white stripes as you see it on here. So most of them originally would have been painted with just mops and brushes, the best they could, just to put the white and black markings on there so they were identified as Allied aircraft during the invasion and not an enemy aircraft. And that was a top secret thing that they couldn't make that out months in advance because everyone wanted to paint them that way. The mission of the Commemorative Air Force is to operate these aircraft in airworthy and flying condition and take them to the local communities all around the United States to tell the story and to continue to keep the stories alive for future generations. There's nothing better than having little kids come out there and you get sometimes they ask the best questions and see the light and the twinkle in their eyes as they go through the airplane and we talk about them. The Warbird, the World War II aircraft are a big part of my life. My grandfather served out in North Africa in B-17s, was a ball turret gunner, so I grew up with those stories. from little kid all the way up, and it's really near and dear to to me.